Hey, this is Angel Garza from WWE, and you are watching the Bro Force.
Hey everybody, it's Hayden and Joe from the Bro Force here. Today we are doing a top 10 list together in the sense that we each have a top 10 list and we are going to talk about it because we like to overcomplicate things.
Yes. And I have terrible opinion. That was good English, wasn't it? I have terrible opinion. So my list might be terrible.
I also have horrendous opinions that nobody seems to ever agree with.
Yeah,
So
you
my
do have
list will
quite the
probably
opinion.
be widely wrong in most people's eyes.
Mine will definitely be wrong, considering I only have one match before 2010.
Only one before 2010?
Yeah.
I thought you said one before the 2000s.
Yeah, then I took some matches off. I kept second guessing myself. And then now I only have one. It's before the 2000s, but it's also before 2010s.
I have 5 before the 2010s.
Yeah, turns out I might be biased with some of these matches. Who knows? I don't think much thought went into my list. Just saying.
A lot of thought went into mine. I've been writing this for like 3 days.
I made mine in probably 30 minutes, with minor adjustments throughout the hours.
Mine has been consistently changed. It's almost entirely different than when it was when it first started. Number 1 and number 2 have stayed the same, and that's pretty much it.
Same. And also, I think we should say we are both looking forward to number 8 because we might have the same answer, but we don't know. So,
But we probably don't.
we probably don't, but we know it's similar. All right, it's similar. So you want to start this?
Yes, of course we'll start with number 10, the only NXT match on my list.
I also have an NXT match here.
Mine is Tommaso Ciampa versus Johnny Gargano at TakeOver Chicago.
Oh, I also have that on my list, but a little bit later. For my number 10, I have DIY versus The Revival at TakeOver Toronto. Pretty sure it was 2 out of 3 falls. It was very good.
So you're going to have as many Johnny Garganos in this list as I had Tyler Bates on my matches of the decade list.
No, I think you had more Tyler Bates than me having Garganos. But what can I say? Gargano is one of the best wrestlers ever.
So what is your reasoning behind having yours on your list?
See, it's the best tag match, in my opinion, in NXT history. Not ever, because my favorite tag team match is later on in my list, but they work so well together. Nice feud going in it, and DIY got the tag titles, and they were Johnny Gargano especially was like for a long time, and with a tear in my eye, it was amazing. I actually kind of teared up a little bit watching. Not gonna lie, I was happy. What about yours? What's your reasoning?
Well, it's probably the greatest feud of all time. Definitely one of the greatest feuds of all time. And I knew one of the matches had to be on my list. And New Orleans was really good. But I felt like Chicago's was more innovative and creative.
It had a lot more story to it. That's my favorite part about that match, the storytelling in it. The way they relived everything, walking up the ramp and stuff. You get what I'm saying?
Because it was in the same arena that Ciampa had turned on Gargano.
Yeah, I'm not sure anybody really caught on to how they were showing like the story when they were walking up the ramp and Ciampa had Gargano's head on his shoulder walking up, and then he threw him back into the screen, just like he did when he first turned heel.
It felt like two people trying to torture each other as creatively as and cruelly as they could.
It felt like a good movie, but like a wrestling match.
What is your number 9?
My number 9 is the only match I have before the 2000s, and that is Stone Cold versus Bret Hart at Mania 13.
That match is later on my list.
Oh, okay.
And before I added this match, it was the only match I had before the 2000s. And this match changed that, because this match is Owen Hart versus Bret Hart at WrestleMania 10. I watched this match for the first time about an hour before we started recording this, because I knew I had to watch it before I made this list.
I have yet to watch that match, but I've been planning on it ever since watching the Owen Hart Dark Side of the Ring. But I remember not rewatching it. The first time I watched it, I've only watched the match once, and it was. I always heard people talk about Stone Cold versus, and it was such a good match. What did you like about Bret Hart versus Owen Hart?
Well, for starters, it opened up right away with a little kid refusing to take Bret Hart's glasses because he was an Owen Hart fan, and that immediately made it a 10-star match. But it was great storytelling aspects of how Bret didn't really want to hurt Owens. He just wanted, not Owens, didn't want to hurt Owen. He just wanted to beat him. And Owen wanted to hurt Bret and beat him. And eventually being willing to hurt Bret and also wanting to win, ended up getting Owen the win. Because Owen wore Bret down more throughout the match than Bret wore Owen down. Because Owen's style was more strike-based in this match, just trying to attack Bret and hurt him, hurt his brother, hurt his leg, kick his leg out of his leg. Because he was too damn selfish, Bret.
Alright, so next, number 8. We both have a Undertaker WrestleMania match on here.
I think I know which one you have.
I think you have Taker versus Edge from Mania 24. Or Taker versus Punk from Mania 29.
Let's see if you're right.
So, say it at the same time. See if we have the same one.
Yep.
Alright. 3, 2, 1.
Undertaker versus CM Punk.
Triple H. Oh, I knew you had that one. I have Taker versus Triple H. End of an era. Mania 28.
That was originally on my list, and I took it off.
See, after I made this list, and then I looked at it, I was thinking I could have put, like, Shawn Michaels versus Taker from either 25 or 26, but for some reason, I hold Taker versus Triple H closer to my heart, and I don't know why. It was a really good match. A lot good, like, storytelling, a lot of aggression.
This match is my favorite streak match. Probably, in a large part, due to the fact that it was the first WrestleMania I ever watched as a young child. I was 7 years old when I watched this match, so I didn't understand the psychology of it or anything. But when I watched it back in recent years, as an educated wrestling fan that could really appreciate the work of both of them, I realized how good it really was. Plus the memories tied in with watching it originally, with it being the first Mania I watched, definitely makes it my favorite streak match, and you have to have an Undertaker streak match on a top 10 matches of all time list.
And there's a lot of options that, like, on your list with Taker Mania matches. And there's probably going to be people watching this that are going to be like, where is Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker from Mania 26? But I don't know if it's on your list, but it's not on mine.
It's not on mine. It was on mine, but it's not now.
Alright, so number 7, what do you have?
Another match for the 2010s, so I know we don't have this one the same. It's my favorite Hell in a Cell match. It's Cactus Jack versus Triple H.
Okay, I think I had that. Or no, I have it in my honorable mentions. Spoiler alert. I have John Cena versus CM Punk, which is probably on your list, but higher up.
That is on my list, but higher up.
You probably have this at like number 2 or 3 or 1. Who knows? I don't. Why did I go in that order with those numbers? 2, 3, 1. That made no sense. That really just threw me off for some reason. Why did I say it? Why did I say it like that?
So this video is just me now because Joe had an existential crisis over the order that he said the numbers.
Oh god. But I have John Cena versus CM Punk because it was really good. I meant to rewatch it before this to refresh my memory on it, but the network is doo-doo, okay? So I did not watch it.
Hashtag
But
cancel
I remember-
WWE Network. Hashtag I'm with AEW.
Alright, speaking of AEW, actually, do you want to talk about your match first?
Yeah. It was Mick Foley's retirement match that lasted about 2 months before he came back at WrestleMania 2000.
Yep.
Had he not come back, this probably would have been higher on my list because it was a perfect send-off. A nice touch as in the build-up, Foley was threatening Triple H with throwing him off the cell. So Triple H, being one of the owners of the company at this point, married to the boss's daughter in kayfabe, had like 20 padlocks on the door to make sure Foley could not get out. And then eventually he threw Foley into the side of the cell so many times that it broke, and that's how Foley got out. But he didn't throw Triple H off. But he did go through the top of the cell again, but this time through the ring. And I believe that's how he ended up losing, if my memory is correct.
Okay, so as I was saying, speaking of AEW, my number 6 is Kenny Omega and Hangman Page versus the Young Bucks at Revolution.
Mine is a match that I really knew was never going to be on yours. It's wrestling-wise, it's probably not very good at all. This is one of the instances of the crowd making the match. It is The Rock versus Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 18.
I was going to have that on my list.
I love this match.
Yeah, I have... Many people say Omega and Page versus Young Bucks at Revolution is the best tag team match ever. I think it's up there, but I don't think it's the best. I'm still going to get to the best tag match ever. But it was so good. Like I don't think I could put into words how good this match was.
The thing I really like about Rock and Hogan is that they've said in the past that this match was completely improvised because they weren't planning on the crowd going for Hogan and booing Rock. So they had to change everything they had planned out for the match and put Hogan in the babyface role and Rock in the heel role. So there probably wouldn't have been that big Hulk up spot that got the crowd ballistic.
There is the one moment after Omega and Page versus Young Bucks. After the match, Hangman dropped his title on the ring, and he held the ropes like he was about to hit Omega with the buckshot layer, just like hinting at the turn. But it didn't happen. But I thought that was like a really good touch after the match.
Everybody in that match hit the turn. When Kenny was standing in front of the Bucks stood sideways in their double super kick stance to make it look like they were going to kick him. Then all three of them looked like they were going to kick Hangman. Then Hangman looked like he was going to turn on Kenny.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a good thing that they didn't do that yet. Do you think it's going to happen anytime soon?
Not until we have crowds back. That has to be safe for a crowd.
I think it'd be kind of nice if Omega is the one to turn.
I hope the Bucks and Kenny turn. I'd like to see a big heel staple of the Elite in AEW.
I think that could be alright, even though they already have the Inner Circle, but it would work. But number 5, what do you have for number 5?
I have an AEW match.
Okay.
One of the 2 on my list. I have Cody versus Dustin.
I have a New Japan match. One of 2 on my list. This is also a tag match, but my personal favorite tag match ever. Golden Lovers versus the Young Bucks, Strong Style Bucks. It is... I didn't really watch New Japan that much when I watched this match, but I watched it live, surprisingly. Even though I don't do that often. And I was in, like, awe watching this match, because it's not something, like, I'm used to. Like, I'm not too familiar with them at this point. Like, I knew who the Young Bucks were, I knew who Golden Lovers were, but I didn't see many of their matches live. And this match was so special. Like, the way Matt Jackson was selling his back the whole match and stuff, it was a really special match.
Cody versus Dustin is, for up to a point, one of the greatest matches. Of the 2010s, it was the second best match, probably, of the 2010s.
Yeah.
Some people would probably say it was the best match of the 2010s. It's easily the best match of either man's career, which is saying something when Dustin's been around for 30 years. 40 at this point. 50 years old, bathed in blood, having the best match of his career.
Yeah.
No small feat.
The match, I'll get to the match, I'll tell you that. I don't think the match would be the same if Dustin didn't bleed that much, but it was still such an amazing match. And I'm not going to discredit it, because it is high up on my list.
At this point on, from the things you've said, I can confirm we did not have a single entry that is the same.
Okay. So, number 4 is... I'm not going to be able to talk about this match much because you are. And we already talked about this match for probably like a solid 3-4 minutes. Ciampa vs. Gargano 2, Takeover Chicago, Street Fight. We already talked about this. But I have it at number 4. What do you have?
I have Bret Hart versus Stone Cold at WrestleMania 13.
So we both, like, basically switched there.
I've
What
watched...
number did you have, Gargano vs. Ciampa?
At 10.
Okay. And I had Bret Hart vs. Stone at 9. So we almost had, like, an exact switch there. So what were you saying?
I've watched... This is probably the match, besides my number 1, that I've watched the most. In the past, like, 3 years or so, I've probably watched this match at the very least 25 times.
Wow.
I love this match. And had it not been
I was not expecting such a high number.
There's one match that I watch more, and that is my number 1. There's one recent match that took that one's spot at number 3. And there's one match that I don't watch as much, but I still enjoy more.
For number 3, I have a match. This is something that I told you before we recorded that you were going to disagree with it. And you're going to say it's probably overrated. But I have Kenny Omega versus Kazuchika Okada. 2 out of 3 falls.
I love this match.
Really? Is it on your list?
It's not on my list. But at one point last year, I did this list. Not as a video or anything, just to do it, and it was on that list. Because luckily Okada was working with Kenny, so Kenny could carry him to a great match.
Takes 2 to tango. But I mean, I also think Okada's kind of overrated, but this, you can't disagree with this match, how good it is. This is definitely their best match that they have, I think, in my opinion. What do you have for?
I have Hangman Page and Kenny Omega versus the Young Bucks at Revolution. My favorite tag team match of all time, and I can't really say anything about it that you haven't already.
Alright. So we do have a lot of similar things on here, but just different numbers, basically. But Kenny Omega versus Okada, I watched the first one that they did, and then that was good. That was a solid match. And then I watched their second one, which is this one, I'm pretty sure. And that just blew the other one away. And for as many matches as they had, this has always been my favorite. The one visual I always remember is... I love this spot, too. Okada going to hit the Rainmaker, and out of exhaustion, Kenny just falling over. I just thought that was perfect. And that's like my favorite part of the match for some reason. So, number 2. What do you have?
You're right, I did have it on my list, but higher. John Cena versus CM Punk at Money in the Bank 2011. This is a year after I started watching wrestling, and I didn't watch Raw at the time, so I had no clue that was happening on Raw. I wasn't allowed to stay up to watch it when I was that little. All I watched was SmackDown, so I didn't get any of the good stuff coming out of this.
Yeah.
So I remember reading the results for this pay-per-view and having no clue who CM Punk was, but being really upset that he beat John Cena. And I finally watched the match a few years ago, and I realized how good it was.
So, is it a coincidence that I started with number 2 when I said where I thought you would have this? What are the chances? But, for my number 2, I have a match that I was there for. I was there live for this match.
I already know
Johnny Gargano versus Andrade Cien Almas, Taker for...
You have the same amount of Tyler Bate that I do. Or the same amount of Johnny Gargano as I had Tyler Bates. And the same structure, too. 2 singles matches and a tag match.
So, this match, I was so freaking mad when Gargano didn't win, because it was so good. It felt like it was leading up to him winning this match, with Candice jumping over the barricade, getting her out of the equation, but he just didn't have enough. He couldn't finish it off, and it made me so sad. I would have been in tears if he won this match, and I was there to witness it. I would have been so happy. Everyone around me was standing up cheering for like how good the match was, and most of them were like, not all of them were cheering, obviously, because most of them were standing up with their hands in front of their face because they can't believe Gargano. But then everyone starts going crazy, and I'm still sitting down. I could barely see what's going on because I was mad. And I, out of like the corner of my eye, because I was right by the entrance, I just see Ciampa start walking out. So I had to stand up. But other than that, I was really sad. This is the worst and best match at the same time.
I think we can both agree on what number one is here. My number one is Randy Orton versus Bobby Roode at Fastlane 2018.
So I'm going to assume that is not actually your number one.
Why would you assume that? Just because the match was bad, I can't like it?
Before we get into the real number one, should we go over some honorable mentions?
Probably, yeah. Because there's a lot of things we probably should have each had on our lists that we don't.
All right, so do you want to like say all yours like one time, or do you want to take turns going?
We can take turns going.
All right, so we're obviously not going to talk about these matches that much. So I'm just going to start with Triple H versus Shawn Michaels, the street fight from SummerSlam 2002.
That was also originally on my list, and I took it off. I also almost had on my list Shinsuke Nakamura versus Sami Zayn from TakeOver Dallas.
That is also one of my honorable mentions. But since you already said that, I'm just going to say John Cena versus AJ Styles from Royal Rumble 2017.
One of mine is Bret Hart versus the British Bulldog from SummerSlam 1992.
Okay. I have Sasha Banks for Charlotte versus Becky Lynch from WrestleMania 32.
I have Edge versus Mick Foley from WrestleMania 22, I think.
Okay. I have another match I was there live for. Jon Moxley versus Kenny Omega from Full Gear, the unsanctioned match.
And my last honorable mention is Shawn Michaels versus Chris Jericho from WrestleMania 19.
Did you say that was your last one? You cut out a little bit.
Yeah, that is my last one.
Okay, I have a lot more. I'll just go through them really fast, okay?
Speedrun.
Shinsuke Nakamura versus AJ Styles, Wrestle Kingdom 10. Macho Man versus Ricky Steamboat. Punk versus Taker, WrestleMania 29. Taker versus Edge, WrestleMania 24. Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker, Mania 26 and 25. TLC 1 and 2. And finally, the top one out of all of the honorable mentions. Michael Nakazawa versus Alex Jabali. Full Gear, or not Full Gear, Fyter Fest buy-in.
That was an incredible match. It was almost to the caliber of Randy Orton versus Bobby Roode from Fastlane 2018.
It was close, but not close enough. Alright, so... Alright, you say what your number one is. So.
My number one, I almost told you by accident when you said you took it off of your list earlier because you found it boring. It's TLC 2.
I didn't say I found it boring. I just got bored watching it, and I realized I could probably have more matches, or a different match. I forget what match I replaced it with. I think it was Taker versus Triple H, end of an era. But, for my number one, this match hasn't happened yet, but it's Edge versus Randy Orton, Backlash 2020, the greatest match.
The greatest wrestling match ever.
It's completely justified to be number one on my list, even though it hasn't happened yet, because WWE told me it's the greatest, so why wouldn't I have it on my list?
I love that the match graphics always have the greatest wrestling match ever in the bottom left corner. So it looks like they're saying every match is going to be the greatest wrestling match ever. Braun
really
Strowman
stupid.
versus Miz and Morrison. Greatest wrestling match ever.
What about Nia Jax versus Asuka? Greatest wrestling. Alright. But all jokes aside, my real number one is Cody Rhodes versus Dustin Rhodes, Double or Nothing, 2019. It is amazing. As I said, we already talked about it a little bit. I don't think it would be the same without the blood, but it was so good, and it had blood, so you can't imagine what it would be like. it was such good storytelling. Even with like not having weekly shows leading up to build it up, they did such a good job.
If you want a good example of how different mine and Joe's wrestling tastes are, there's an 18-year age difference on both of our number ones. Mine was in 2001, the greatest TLC match, the greatest match overall of all time. It has so many things going for it. It's got the Hardys doing crazy ladder dives. It's got the Dudleys putting everyone through tables. It has my favorite wrestler of all time, Christian. It has Spike Dudley interfering. It has Lita interfering. It has Rhino interfering. It is complete chaos for about 15 minutes. Just pure insanity. The spear off from the ladder on a hanging Jeff Hardy. Jeff trying to tightrope the ladder and failing.
So, is it safe to say you're disappointed in me that I took it off my?
Yes. I tried really hard not to say anything to you earlier when you took it off the list and not make it obvious that it was my number one.
I had it at number 9.
This match has always been my favorite match of all time. Since the first time I watched it, it's never changed.
See, for some reason, when I had it on there, I just felt like I could do better. I felt like there could be something else on there. And, I mean, call me crazy, but I replaced it with Taker vs. Triple H.
Which isn't better.
I don't know. But I guess maybe we can make a whole debate video out of this. Is that match the greatest of all time?
I have breaking news coming in right now.
Oh, okay.
Brandon Cutler has a sense of urgency against Michael Nakazawa on AEW Dark.
Oh my god. Are you serious?
I'm serious. Just got the tweet notification from AEW. This is big.
That's crazy. So, what you're saying is, we gotta stop this video and go watch AEW Dark?
Absolutely. Yep. That's it. Bye, everybody.